Welcome to the Path Podcast. It's November 15th, 2023. I'm here with Auk, and I'm super stoked to welcome Caleb to the podcast of Pivot Demo Driver fame. Thanks for being here, Caleb.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's good to have you here. Thanks for bringing the rain.
Yeah.
And the cool weather, actually.
Gotta have it.
I love this time of year where it cools off, and I think it's going to cool off for the rest of the year. It's not going to come back and, have another heat spell kick you in the side of the head. So
For sure.
This is one of my favorite times of year. Anyways, welcome,
Yeah,
Caleb.
no, thanks.
Thank you for doing that demo, too. That demo rocked.
Oh, yeah, hopefully you got some good sales from it, maybe.
I feel like that was our first really solid turnout for a demo since the pandemic, because we've done, not just with Pivot, but we've done maybe 6 demos since the pandemic, and all of them, I expected it to be like pent up. Like I haven't had a chance to demo a bike in 2 or 3 years, and it's been people just aren't used to it, or they're out of the habit of going to demos or something.
That, and I think people, a lot of people got their COVID bike, and then they're now ready 2 years later-ish.
That makes sense.
So they're ready for the next bike. So
Our normal turnout for a demo is anywhere from 30 to 80 riders, I feel like, and we blew 30 away, I think, on this one.
About 50 right now.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
And we haven't had anything like that since 2019.
Yeah,
It's
I think this one was a little more, you could see immediate impressions too.
People were there to try a bike and look for a bike.
Yeah, COVID era, doing demos, it was kind of you do a demo and maybe the course of 3-4 months you see stuff happening, but you don't really know it's directly immediate sales from the demo. So it's kind of or something like that.
That's cool.
So what are some indicators? I'm not familiar with that side of how do you know when a customer's made that impression?
Just the way they kind of approach you and the way they ask questions to you or to me directly, or sales, or if we're at the shop, I always like doing shop demos over trailhead demos. So it's you could see some people go in and talk to, or I'll
Jesse
say go in and talk
whatever,
to Tani,
right?
or whoever's, Jesse, or Zach was there too. Zach still. So kind of little things like that, that's why a lot of shops always should try to be involved with the demo, because not all shops do, and it's kind of frustrating. So,
Wait, not all shops are involved in demos?
they should.
It can be tough to get staff to a demo on a weekend day, even if you really, really want to. So I get it.
Sometimes they just don't try.
I also imagine that some people don't see the value or don't have the motivation.
Yeah. So, you guys try though, so it's all good. So.
We do. we can give ourselves a pat on the back for effort, for sure.
No, legitimately, not just saying it because the podcast. You guys always do a really good job, so it's always appreciated. I mean, that's why you get multiple demos a year. So
it's really kind,
because it's got to be beneficial to us, because it's a pretty big effort on our part. Actually, it's
it's a huge effort.
I don't know if I should say how much it costs, but it's a good chunk of money. It's got to be worth it.
So what are some of the things leading up, efforts wise? You don't have to say dollars wise, but efforts and resources that go into it.
So to say how people crunch numbers, we got we got 2.5 currently. Before COVID, we had 4 full-time fleets on the road. West Coast 35 bikes in-house, which now was Essential, that'd be 35 bikes again, and then East Coast would be 35 bikes as well, and then we had an e-bike fleet that was 16 bikes. So they're all our pro builds. So if you know that $7,500 price point, and then our e-bikes are all the team builds, so that $12,000 price point roughly. Some numbers there, and then obviously between vans, trailers, salaries, in-house guys rebuilding bikes all the time. We got a full fleet inside at Pivot too. So now it's down to 3 or 2.5 fleets, I would say. East Coast, West Coast, and then in-house it's 2.5-3 months on the road for next year, something like that. So it's quite a bit of numbers, and then
full time. What does that mean as far as how long? How do you have a home base?
Not really, no. So full time for us demo drivers, for Pivot anyways, is beginning of January to Thanksgiving. I'd say we're pretty much on the road. January we're in Phoenix getting ready, but we're still doing some dealer camps, media stuff sometimes, depending on what bikes are happening.
So you sort of have a month off.
We got all of December off, so almost there. So Thanksgiving, January Thanksgiving is our time on the road. So
that's gotta feel good.
Yeah,
to be almost done with another year.
Just go to do nothing for a month. So
Cool.
Yeah, and
Do you know where you're gonna go?
do not on a couch. Yeah.
Find a couch.
Yeah. No, we'll see. Honestly, don't have my plans are loose right now, but yeah, we'll see what the girlfriend's gonna do and what
Where's
she
her
wants to
home
do.
base?
Her.
Yeah.
She is around Portland area. So
Cool. I love that area.
Wow.
it's pretty good. It's good central location for a lot of cool stuff. So
Yeah. Are you from PNW or?
I am from Michigan. So yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I grew up in a small village of Michigan. So
Uh-huh.
yeah.
How did you end up? Wow. How did you end up in the bike industry, riding, pivot?
So yeah, kind of, I was in the dirt bike world, racing dirt bikes, motocross.
You were
Eventually,
doing what kind of motocross racing? Like stadium or outdoor? Or?
trying to make it work, but wasn't good enough. But good, but not that good.
That's, yeah. Whoa.
So it didn't really go anywhere with that. But eventually, a few years of like figuring things out of what I wanted to do next, and got a mountain bike. Well, I got a downhill bike for a while, and then eventually my buddy Eric, who got me into Pivot, actually, he's like, you should get a trail bike. And I rode his Patrol, actually, and then it's like, oh yeah, trail bikes are cool, and yeah, got a bike eventually. And then a couple years later, Eric was at Pivot, so this was like, I don't know, 2017, something like that. Don't quote me.
Mhm.
Eventually started talking about like this demo position at Pivot, and eventually when I was living in Montana, I was framing houses, and I was like just over it, and moved back to Phoenix for this job, I guess. Yeah. And then,
Nice.
so
And so you've been doing it like 8 years or so?
I've been with Pivot since 2019 sometime.
Okay.
Yep. So
4 years, 5 years.
yep. And then
And you get hired, and then a year later, less than a year, COVID.
yeah.
You guys didn't keep doing demos all the way through COVID, did you?
Somewhat. East Coast guy, he stayed on the road, but it was like kind of, feeling things out. So that's kind of like when, like the reservation system we have now, that's partially because of that. He would more, instead of doing demos, he'd like work with shops that were open. Like you guys, so say you guys have like a list of like 5 customers that were serious, we would go and like Eric would go and drop
Oh wow.
you guys off the 5 bikes, only those 5 bikes. He'd set them up, and then you guys would just do the rest of it. So we weren't really doing demos; we were just dropping bikes off, which worked out great for us.
Yeah.
So reservation stayed because it does seem way better too. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's way better quality. It's a lot smoother at the demos too. So
Makes sense.
yep.
What bikes are you riding now mostly?
Firebird, and Mach 6.
Nice.
Yep. Full 27.5 Mach 6, not a mullet.
Whoa.
Yep.
And you like it that way?
Oh yeah, love it. Yeah, I mean, fun bike. It's the, if I'm in Santa Cruz, that's the bike I'm riding. I won't even touch my Firebird generally. So,
Do you think 27.5 front wheel tires are here to stay?
they should be.
They should be.
Yeah, they should be. Yeah. No, I think I would like to say that I feel like some 27.5 bikes will come back. I really don't know, but I think they should, because I do think there is a place. There's a lot of riders that come to the demos, actually, in my opinion, and they struggle, like a lot of shorter riders. So they would probably benefit from a full 27.5 bike.
I could see there being a
Yeah.
27.5 resurgence for sure.
And then like as stuff changes, things get better, evolve. We learn. I mean, the full 29ers now, even for the shorter crowd, are pretty good. Compared to like 5-6 years ago.
Right.
But still, like, there's some people that are like very anti 29.
Right.
So and like, yeah, they're gonna hang on to their bikes forever then. So
Cater to those folks.
yeah, which honestly, the Shadow Cat that we have, it seems like everybody that's the one bike at demos that everybody rides that bike and they love it. There's not like I hated this bike, or I wasn't unsure. It's like everyone has fun on that bike. So
I know someone who just got a Shadow Cat.
how's yours?
I love it. I've only taken it out really on one proper ride so far, because
Yeah.
I've been so wrapped up in this move and the demo
Yeah.
and everything else lately. But I'm stoked. It's the lightest bike I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
Mine weighs like 29 pounds,
Yeah.
which for me right now is nice and light.
That is.
Yeah.
I mean, even just these days, to have a trail-worthy bike, it seems like
I feel like that's the cutoff for downcountry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think our team XTR build is 26.8 pounds in a large. So, I don't know. You can go lighter.
You definitely can go lighter. I have fairly heavy prototype cranks on mine.
Yeah.
And I have a 29-inch front wheel.
Yeah,
Which
so you
adds
got a
some
big
weight.
big wheel up front.
Probably heavier tires than that show up on the XTR team.
I'm running the
build.
stock tires.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
What's your front tire?
Dissector.
Dissector.
Yes.
Got it.
I don't know why that particular. I'm really dialed in on like minions and ass guys, and
Right.
but I can never remember dissector.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah.
But it is a cool tire, and it's that kind of like not quite enduro weight.
It rolls.
It rolls
pretty
good.
good.
Yeah.
It's a little lighter, I think, maybe than a minion or certainly an S guy.
Right.
So so my perception of being a demo driver is kind of like the demo drivers are kind of like the cool kids of the industry, the rock stars of the industry, the wild childs of the industry.
Can be, yeah.
A lot of people kind of have like almost like could I do that? Would that be fun?
A lot of people think the job's awesome, then they hear I'm on the road with like no brakes for 11 months and they like get turned off.
It's wild.
Yeah. That's like the big killer. Or if you have, you're married, kids, kind of
Pretty big deal.
It's going to be tough. Yeah. I mean, it's not to say you can do it, but it's just, I'll say good luck, but
Good luck.
when you go on the road, you're kind of committed. Like, it's hard to like just stop and then like
Come
swap
back.
somebody out. Yeah.
Oh,
So
right.
you're kind of committed. And like I say, like tell people all the time, like highs are highs, lows are lows. When you're, obviously the highs are good. Everyone gets like your great days on a bike and places you can see, but the lows, like when you're like in a mental funk, like you got nowhere to go. So it's kind of like you kind of appreciate the times in certain areas where you can kind of like chill out, sprawl out at a house, or Kalen and Posit did this job years ago. I'm sure all people, you guys obviously know them. Whenever I'm in Idaho, usually crash at their place and just got free range, to do it at their house, and it's amazing. So
That's
it's little things
nice
like
little
that.
break in the.
Yeah.
It does seem like most demo drivers definitely shred and can pedal all day.
So
Some get a little out of practice and out of shape sometimes, or don't ride big chunks of time. But
but
like they all kind of have that like I can shred. Like seems like, or most
feel like it. Yeah.
And all of them seem like someone that would be like good to have around in kind of like a weird situation or party or like whatever.
There's definitely some stories. Yeah. Not always for the,
Oh, you're gonna tell stories?
I don't know about there, yeah. See how it goes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you get to ride everywhere.
Yeah. Rocky
all over America.
You could go with my territory. So I'm on the road for 11 months, but also my territory is Rocky Mountains West. That is considered West Coast for us.
Okay.
So
Got it.
yeah. And I do Texas too, and like a weekend in Bentonville, which whatever. Yeah. That's not in the top places.
not enough elevation change in NAR.
It's man-made. So
Yeah.
give me the raw janky stuff, preferably. Cut in a trail, little hidden trails. This might look for. But what was the question?
Well, we're talking about how you really do get to ride a lot of different places.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, you probably have some good information about places to ride that people have heard of, but maybe also some good information about places to ride that maybe aren't as well known, like zones.
Yeah.
That like are underappreciated.
Yeah. It's like that combo of like, do you want the sickest trails or an amazing view or a combo of both, or
Give us
or away from
location
people
for each one. Give us where's the NAR?
The NAR.
Top 3 or 4 places that not of the NAR.
I mean, we know there's NAR.
mind.
We know there's NAR like in Canada and stuff.
Yeah. There's like some spots. Obviously, there's like people that talk about PNW, but like underrated spot that catches people off guard. Ironton, Missouri, that Shepherd Mountain place,
Where's that?
and 2.5 hours, 3 hours south of St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there for a brief stint in 2021, just because like everything was still kind of weird for demo. But that was like kind of like the janky stuff that it's like off camber
I've
tech,
never
wet.
heard of it, so that's exactly
Yeah.
what I meant. Yeah.
Super cool spot. Just kind of like one of those places like it kind of
Say it
catches
again?
you off guard. Ironton, Missouri.
Ironton, Missouri.
Yep. Yep.
Cool.
I know they had a BME there, and it was mixed emotions with it, I guess. Like some people loved it, some people hated it. There's not really much in between. It's a very tricky place. I love that place, that kind of stuff, but it's not for everybody. I mean, I do always kind of talk about Oak Ridge, Oregon.
Yeah, I like Oak Ridge.
I'm a big fan of that place. Had some great days on a bike there. Port Angeles, obviously, Dry Hill. There's some
not so familiar. What's that like?
Depends when you go there. When it's dry, it's slick, I would say, and when it's wet, it's like got more traction. I mean, kind of like Oak Ridge, I guess. Like
You ever ride a dirt bike in Oak Ridge?
No,
You know you can ride a dirt bike on all those trails.
all of them.
Most of them.
That'd be kind of hectic.
Like
I mean, even like because some of those are like downhill specific. So
what's the main trail that ends at the place where the like campground?
Alpine?
Alpine. You can ride a dirt bike up
Yeah.
and down Alpine.
yeah, I could see Alpine. Yeah,
And really, the ones you can't, it's because you fit. Like if you could, you're allowed to.
yeah,
On almost all of them.
Right.
yeah.
I think.
I mean, Nick Gibson up there with Trans Cascadia. He said the riding's amazing up there, but can't say myself. But
Yeah, I went to the Oregon Mountain Bike Festival there
Mhm.
one year, and some of the demo drivers and I rode our dirt bikes on Alpine. It was awesome.
yeah,
One of the best days ever. Hanging out with demo drivers.
yeah.
Is there a dirt bike in your life now, or in the?
I wish. I mean, I guess I got like a full BBR. People are familiar with BBR XR100, so I've spent way too much money on that thing, which also rad. But it's not a real bike though. You know, it's not a full size bike. But no, if I could fit it in my van, 100% would have a bike with me. But it just doesn't make sense. I know like another old pivot guy, Brad Pastier. I know he had a bike in the middle of his van.
Yep.
But it doesn't really fit. I think someone else did too at one point, but whatever. Yeah.
Jake, the old Santa Cruz demo driver, used to do that sometimes too.
Yeah. If I could build my own van, 100% would make it work, but I didn't really had the option, but not quite. But
You get to kind of customize it and modify it, but some stuff is already done.
a little bit. Yeah.
That's cool.
It's like,
I've kind of wondered.
yeah, you don't get to like full do what you want, but you get a little bit of leeway. So yeah, it's like
Any other riding spots people should know about?
Darrington in
Where's
Washington.
that?
Darrington, Washington. Yeah.
Darrington.
Yeah.
Where in Washington?
Between Seattle and Bellingham.
Okay.
Yep. It's super
That
rad.
makes sense. That whole zone's rad.
Yeah. I mean, I say a lot of Washington probably, but I mean, yeah, Leavenworth, there's some pretty epic spots. Not
That's interesting. I've been
Yeah.
through Leavenworth and wondered because the terrain is so rad.
super rad. Yeah. That would be one where like trail's amazing, super cool views. Not on the map, but so yeah.
A lot of elevation change, right?
Yeah.
In that area.
Yeah. That whole area is super cool. Yeah.
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 There's that little German village.
Bavarian. I think it's Bavarian.
Bavarian.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Similar. Yeah.
Get some Lederhosens.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think what else is good. And everyone likes Utah, right?
Like Deer Valley or
I mean, everyone likes Moab, right? So,
Moab's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's just like
Moab's pretty awesome.
yeah. I'm trying to think what else is good.
So what is
Yeah.
like?
It'll come back to
Yeah.
if anything comes up.
Some big rides in Montana, that's for sure.
Oh,
Yeah, Alpine 7
wow.
in like Kalispell area, Flathead. Super rad.
Yeah. What is how do you fit the rides in when you're on like a demo weekend or a demo week?
Yeah, so
does that look
schedule
like?
is kind of like Saturday, Sunday demos. During the week, it's like kind of figure it out. You got to do bike maintenance, driving time, van maintenance, try to figure out how to live, where to sleep. So harder than you think. Sometimes, I mean, you kind of
Self-care is hard when you have a house.
it's more tricky than you think. Yeah. And yeah, you just like kind of figure it out. So for me, like I try to do a lot of my work at night, and that way I can ride during the day.
Right.
Or whenever, then you do shop rides during the week too, and a lot of various things. So every day you're kind of doing something. But yeah, it's kind of like figured out. So
When did you get into town for the shop demo here?
2 weeks ago.
Oh wow. Okay.
So 3 weeks ago.
But you did other demos while you're
Yeah.
in that time.
I was in like Thousand Oaks for a second. And,
Did one in San Clemente.
Yep, Santa Clarita, San Clemente.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah. And then I was in New Mexico before that. So yeah.
That's awesome. And as a pivot demo driver, you get to visit a lot of the coolest bike shops too.
I do. Yeah. It's kind of like you always have your key spots where you're like, but for me, since like this is year 4 for me, so I already have like the shops. I'm like, all right, we're gonna hang out with these guys, give these guys some love or whatever. And always hang. It's always like in certain areas. So I'm in Southern California. Yeah, I would say I kind of just like live here at the Path. Like I've kind of probably spend like 4 or 5 weeks of my year like in the parking lot here. Seems like. So good. But I mean, it's like easy. Yeah.
I keep a list of shops that I should visit, and I'm always glad I do. Like, I love visiting bike shops, so maybe you could add some to my list.
Yeah, I always like hanging out the Sagebrush guys in Bend. Like, those guys are super rad. Yeah. Ketchum, Idaho. Patty at Backwoods, super cool dude. He's got a lot of intel too, so I always have a good time with him. Kind of does like bike rafting trips with his Firebird. It's like
that's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of he's a cool dude. Salida, Colorado. I mean, Mark, how he's at Absolute.
Yeah. I met Mark at a pivot event, I think, and we kind of stayed in touch. He's a rad guy. I really like Mark.
Yeah, and Sean, the owner of the shop.
Or no, Sean's my bad.
Yeah, Mark's the tech here, but he's
friends with Sean.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Sean's super rad, dude.
Sean.
Yeah. And same with like the reps too, like Salt Cycles and whatever you call it, Salt Lake area. They're like Sandy, Utah. They're always super cool.
Nice.
I'm trying to think. Yeah.
Working at Pivot's got to be awesome because I think it's special to work for a company where the founder really cares about it and still is in control. It doesn't have to like bow down to an investor or something.
Yeah. No, Pivot's been good to me too, but they're a cool company. Like I feel like I get along with more the R&D guys. Obviously, the demo crowd is cool, and Chris is pretty rad. Yeah.
He's a cool guy.
He's a cool dude. If you can like get to talk to him a little bit, but no, Pivot's. I'm a fan of Pivot. Pivot's been good to me. Kind of little company. There's a hidden Juggalo cult in the inner walls. Yeah. It's a hidden Juggalo cult in the inner walls of demo. Yeah. It's kind of.
Are you in it?
Kind, I guess. Yeah.
I guess. Wow. There's a Juggalo amongst us. Should we be scared?
Yeah. Start out. It's a long joke that just like evolved into like this 5-year ordeal, and it's like I have no idea how I got wrapped up in it. But
is it one of those things where a joke kind of almost becomes true after all?
Oh, pretty much. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's ridiculous. Like it's gotten so big. The East Coast guy, he's moving to Michigan to become a juggalo, like a real juggalo.
A juggalo. So what does that mean? I mean, I kind of have a vague idea. Insane clown.
I think so. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's not. It's the joke that should have died, but it just didn't die. And
instead, it became reality.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. Yeah. Had to get that in there.
Other than the Juggalo faction,
I think flack for this.
I think a lot of people have different perceptions of Pivot. To me, Pivot is super focused. Like,
yeah,
they're not making. You guys aren't making anything except really like rad bikes for like mountain bikers.
Yeah. No, it's trying to make like the best bike you can get.
And you're not making a price point, and you're not making a bunch of road bikes and so forth and so on.
Yeah, no, just trying to like
pretty narrow line.
Best frame what we think we can do. I mean, say so like not, tried to do aluminum, or did it for a little while. But I mean, at the end of the day, like a high-end frame is like the goal.
Yeah. When we first became a Pivot dealer, all of them were aluminum because carbon wasn't really a thing yet. You were probably pretty young then.
I'm 33 now, so I wasn't too young.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, To me, one of the things I noticed about Pivot is they're a company that's going to do what they say they're going to do. They're going to call you back. They're going to do, they're going to take care of you on the warranty.
Yeah.
The professionalism is always on point. The best practices are always on point. But also, and I think people kind of intuitively get that about Pivot.
Yeah.
But I think what people don't get is that, like, really, really nice people and, like, fun and and out there doing cool rides and like
yeah.
No,
we do some cool stuff, and I talk about the one that just get back to the bikes and also with my job, fit and finish. Though I would say like it's hard to beat it in my opinion. Like having 35 bikes in my fleet, how much I actually maintain the physical frame pivot aspect of it, I would say is like hardly anything. Like I don't really touch bearings. Like I check everything obviously and clean everything, but like I've never had to service a bottom bracket since being on the road or in demo ever.
That says a
never
lot
had
because those bikes get ridden like they're stolen all day.
Some of it pretty thrashed. Yeah, you'd be surprised what some people do. What for free bike that's like just getting mangled for.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, but never had any bearings fail ever in the bike. So none of the pivot bearings.
The alignment is really good.
Yeah,
and that goes from the alignment where so that the links line up well and the bearings move smoothly on the suspension, but also how the head tube lines up with the rear axle and everything, and just the whole and the frames have I think industry towards the front of the industry and maybe out the front of the industry on like torsional and lateral stiffness for sure. Each kind of like category too.
I would agree. Hey man, you have a shop, so you see more stuff than me.
And I really like the cable management.
I do stand by the product. Yeah,
really like the cable management.
They're easy,
and the finishes do hold up really well. You don't see a lot of like bubbling issues or like they're hard. It's difficult to scratch.
Yeah,
all true.
What does maintenance after a day of demo look like? How often you wash bikes and like, or don't wash bikes, or make them look like you washed it?
A lot of wiping down with the rag. Yeah, not really big crazy about washing bikes. Not that it's can be bad, but I feel like people go too heavy on degreasers and cleaners, and because at the end of the day, it's those degreasers and cleaners are trying to get behind a seal and pull out grease, and some people like wonder why they get a creak, and it's like, well, it's possibly why if you wash your bike too much. So yeah, break out a rag and wipe things down. If it's like a dirty, like muddy, which we don't really do demos in mud, trying for trail etiquette and stuff like that. But and it's not good for the bikes. If the bikes are muddy, like I'll wash them to get like the big stuff off, but every bike gets wiped down. Like it's not. And then so like drivetrain wise, you'll degrease the drivetrains obviously, but you're not like going like heavy.
How often do you have to like pull apart the linkage and just wipe off the bolts and stuff and grease them up?
Don't.
Almost never.
Yeah, honestly,
I mean, certainly after like a few days, if someone does take it in a muddy zone somehow or something, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah. But I mean, like as far as like normal riding maintenance, like on your trail conditions that you should be riding in, obviously P&W is different because they ride in the mud, but like and that dirt's just different too. It kind of just like rinses off. But
do you use a different chain lube up there?
I got wet and dry lube. Yeah, I use Motorex, the dry lube and wet lube.
You put their wet lube and their dry lube.
Yeah,
cool.
And not to sponsor plug, but like they are like really, really good stuff. So yeah,
interesting. They definitely have a good reputation in moto.
Yeah, that and like next, wiping bikes down, they have like this product called Quick Clean. Makes honestly that product like makes my job like way easier. Like because the bike clean leaves like a little filmy residue that you can't get off unless you like use water. I mean, it's for washing bikes, but the Quick Clean stuff, it's like just awesome. Yeah, super good.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Oh,
we used to sell Motorex lube. I wonder why we stopped. Maybe I need to check that out.
I can get you in touch with the guy. So
where are they located right now?
I don't know where TJ's at. Yeah.
That would be the U.S. distributor, I guess. I don't think they're a U.S. company.
He's directly with the company somewhere on the East Coast. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
have you throughout your demo experience, have you cycled through various lubes and kind of landed?
Not really. 2020 before COVID, I was like, you get whatever. I can't remember what we were using then, but now we just get a bunch of Motor X stuff. But
all the Pivot demo drivers are on the Moto X.
Yeah, which it's good stuff. So,
on the popular like e-bikes, like how often are you going through a set of rear brake pads?
Yeah, the one bikes that do make my job harder. Maybe not monthly, but every other month. Yeah.
Well, that's not.
I almost could have imagined it being
Yeah,
worse.
being worse than that, right?
Is that
Same.
roughly like 2 or 3 times as much as the not e-bikes?
Yeah. Oh, probably more. Yeah.
Oh,
I would
wow.
say e-bikes in my 35 bikes that I have, there's 11 that are e-bikes. 4 bikes for the whole year is like way more maintenance than all those other regular bikes.
Okay.
Oh,
All
wow.
yeah.
So e-bikes are at least 4 times as much maintenance and maybe
For
more.
sure, yeah.
So walk us through why the e-bikes. I can imagine, but walk us through why the e-bikes make so much more work.
Everyone's like dragging brakes more. They're heavier, same brakes, but I don't know, say
More laps.
more laps for sure.
More laps.
An extra whole system to maintain.
Whole system maintain.
Of an electrical system to maintain.
Yeah, I think I don't know, like it's definitely attractive to a newer rider. So I do think there's some things with that. Not trying to.
Right. No, that's okay. Yeah.
So I don't think it. I don't think
So-
that it's necessarily like negative to say that
Yeah.
a newer rider might put wear on a bike in a different way.
Yeah.
And like, what is that?
It's like shifting too. Like, drag and brake.
So dragging brake. I think what you mean. Just let me make sure I understand. Dragging brake would be like instead of having short, hard bursts of braking, you're just kind of always a little bit on the brakes.
Yeah, totally.
And what does that do?
Cooks everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely cooks everything.
This is one of those where your bike shop kind of becomes your riding coach and your and your psychologist.
Yeah.
Too is like in what you're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Drag and brake.
And and doing demos too, like you kind of see like who's the newer rider, who isn't. You kind of just do enough setups. You're like, it's all good, and you try to like help them out, like little things like that, like shifting, because shifting under load on an e-bike.
10 times worse.
You just bang the gears and just go right. So I was just like, hey, like just like be mindful. Like that's not like you're not gonna break or anything. It's just gonna be like.
Does the transmission system help with that?
I think so. Yeah, we don't use it yet, but not in the
not
demo
on
fleet.
your demos.
Not in the demo fleet. Yeah, we spec it, but just with Shimano parts, mix matching SRAM and Shimano stuff in the trailer. It's
Our
makes it easier for us.
Our shuttle AM demos do have transmission on them. So
Yeah.
if anyone wants to demo with
No, the e-bikes, the T-type stuff for e-bikes is good.
makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah, because it's always going to go in the right time. I do think Shimano stuff's still really good. Still, you're not going to get me off it, but on the e-bikes though, for sure. Like,
And their stuff shifts quite well under load.
yeah,
Especially the one that's meant to.
yeah,
Right.
just like the Link Glide. Link Glide's amazing. But the T-type stuff though, like, it is always going to be at a good time. Like it's when it shifts, so you can't screw it up.
What about chains? Are you wearing out a lot of chains?
Regular bikes not really too bad, but e-bikes for sure.
Like
Even with like the XO and XX1 chains.
he's not running those.
Shimano.
You're not running those. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Shimano.
You're
Shimano.
right.
It's not honestly. It's not too bad. Yeah, just more like the cassettes, but usually, just to keep everything's dialed in the for the demo bikes. You don't want somebody to break a chain on a ride.
Like 4 drivetrains a year for the e-bikes?
2,
and the muscle bikes
maybe.
sometimes get away with 1?
if that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if that.
Or just 1 replacement sometimes?
Yeah. It's like sometimes even like because for every demo, I get this question: when do the bikes go up for sale? It varies. So like sometimes like when the bike gets shipped back and I get a fresh one, that often on regular bikes, like that's almost like when I get a new drivetrain.
But
Like when
you
I get a new
never
bike.
get to sell
wow.
them. They sell out of Pivot, right?
Yeah, directly out of the factory. Yeah, so
and
you
then they
go on the
usually ship
website.
to a shop.
Yep. Yeah. Go on the website. You see demo section. Drop it down. Demo sale. Pick up whatever's available, and then it'll ship to your shop of choice.
Yep.
So and then it's pretty good setup. But that's usually when I get new drivetrains for the.
Is when you get a new
When
bike.
you get a
When
new
I get a
bike.
Yeah, for e-bikes, I'm replacing them. Regular bikes, I'll replace them every now and then, but it's not too. It's not
Right.
too bad.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you see more drivetrain wear on like the Mach 4s and stuff that are meant for a lot of miles compared to the other muscle bikes?
Actually, no.
Not so much.
Yeah, I think it's just like the person that rides that bike that comes to the demos.
They're
They're a little different. Yeah.
Also, probably that's not the bike
Not
that
always.
gets demoed the most. That's probably the one that.
It's territorial. Here, like in Southern California, definitely gets demoed a bunch.
What bike gets demoed the most? Kind of most of the time.
Switchblade still.
Switchblade.
Yeah, I mean, it's bread and butter.
What are some weird places where weird bikes get demoed the most?
Weird bikes?
Do 27.5 get demoed more on the East Coast than on the West Coast?
For sure. Yeah, P&W always the Mach 6 and Shadowcat. They always go. They're always popular up there.
27.5 is still popular in those areas.
Yeah, I mean, someone's probably listening to this like they never see them, but like at demos, like that's what goes out.
Wow.
Like it's not the main bike, but they definitely get out way more than other places.
I could kind of see why.
Yeah, it's like not as chunky. You don't have that front wheel truss. But at the same time, like if everyone just go ride a full 27.5 bike again, like a modern one, be like, oh man, this is pretty good actually.
Yeah. My last one was a pretty modern Nomad.
Yeah.
It was good. It was really good.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I rode the Shadowcat actually was on stair steps out here, and I thought it was amazing actually still. Like,
yeah. And
I had a ton of fun. So
that trail definitely pushes that, not that
Yeah.
bike in particular as much as just that category of bike.
Yeah.
Is,
I mean, like, would have been faster on like a full 29er? Probably.
or an enduro bike.
Yeah, an
of any
enduro
kind.
bike, a Mach 6 or a full enduro bike for sure. Did I have a ton of fun on it? Yeah.
Heck
Like
yeah.
you can, it's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we used to ride those trails on our
Yeah.
hardtails with V-brakes too.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
26-inch wheels.
26-inch wheels, 70-degree head
Yeah.
angles that were considered slack at the time.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish people would compare a modern 27.5 bike to a modern 29er, not a modern 29er to a 2-generation-old 27.5 bike. I think that'd be
There's not a lot of brands that are going to give you that opportunity other
No.
than Pivot.
no, not
Because, and even with Pivot, to kind of, I mean, none of the newest Pivots are 27.5 either. Even, in other words, I would say that the Firebird is more recent Pivot thinking than, because didn't the Firebird come out after the Shadowcat?
No. It was
Okay.
over, yeah.
So-
2021.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, you've got a fully modernized 27.5.
The Shadowcat came out when? 2022?
21,
Last year,
22.
I think. Or beginning of last year, I think.
Yeah,
I should know, but
no, it's been a blur.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
'cause that was-
end of 21 type of
it
thing.
might have been in 21 because like last year the Shadowcat was like my main trail bike
Wow.
that I rode.
But
Right.
not a lot of brands are making new molds and new designs for 27.5 right now.
No.
So that's kind of going to
That is-
definitely.
I mean, who is it?
It makes me want to ride one.
I don't know if Rebel's still making one. Maybe. Don't quote me. Who is?
I don't.
Yeti's got one, but I mean, Yeti, was it Mick Hanna? Didn't he win on that at the Seattle DH?
Probably.
Not that that's a DH course by any
right.
means, but I mean, still, it's like, I mean, I think he raced it and they won on it.
You can for sure go fast
Right.
on a 27.5.
Yeah. It's all placebo.
It's all placebo.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Do you ever ride mixed wheel size?
Yeah, I dabble. I honestly, I try a lot of different things. I probably ride a bike 3 or 4 times before I change something. Now, when I say change something, I don't mean like I'm changing all the stuff, but like little things. You know, I've talked to you about drilling out cassettes and
Yeah. Okay. So tell us about that.
Oh, I'm going to. No, I just took a 12-speed XTR cassette, drilled out the 51 tooth, made it a 11-speed 1045.
And you still run a Shimano 12-speed derailleur and
Just run the limit screw in.
and that saves you some weight.
I think it's like I weighed it. It's like 300 grams, and so I was just like curious. I had
What
worn
was it
out.
before you took that off?
I think 367.
Okay.
I mean, just for it sounds crazy, but no, I just like had a worn out XTR cassette, and it's like screw it, like let's mess with it. And did some laps in Park City, went back to the van, put that cassette on, and then did some more laps, and then it was like you could kind of feel like track the high speed chatter better.
Because less sprung weight.
Mm-hmm. Yep, less spring weight. So,
I definitely remember downhill bike like conversations about
Yeah.
wanting a light cassette for that reason.
yeah, yeah, that's kind of like where it came. Was like, because I'd love to have a downhill bike again. So it's like trying to figure out, I'm in bike park areas and I have the chance to ride a bike park. Let's try to shave some unsprung weight. And
Are you allowed to talk about the bike that I saw spy shots of on the internet?
I mean, it's out. I think Chris had his interview with it. Kevin Tissue's got a pink bike.
You're allowed to talk about the new.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really
bike.
know a ton.
Yeah,
and I can't say anything, I guess, but I mean, it's cool. Yeah.
You can acknowledge that there were photos on the internet.
There's photos out there.
Super
No,
cool.
it's a cool bike. Yeah.
Do you think you might get a downhill bike when that comes out?
I don't know. I'd love one, but I just like, yeah, that's the bad. I mean, I travel around, but like that's the bad part with my gig is like, I'm never really in a spot where I can like ride a downhill park a whole lot. I mean, I am, but like usually it's like the snow. When I'm in Northern California, North Star is still in snow. Then I go north and like Bachelor was still. I can't remember how Bachelor was, but I don't think it was running or something like that. But
Right.
But I did like get to ride Big Sky this year. That was rad. So, which then I was like, oh shit. Well, I kind of want a downhill bike for because Big Sky's rad. So
It's just cool having a downhill bike. I don't know.
nothing's like it. It's the ultimate bike.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would agree on that.
something about it.
Yeah.
So, what length? I've been asking everyone on the show. What length cranks are you running these days?
I was on 165s for 3 or 4 years, and now I switched back to 170s.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, why'd you do that?
I feel like I was getting a little bit of knee pain. So
Interesting.
yeah.
And where on your knee was the pain?
On the just above the top part.
Okay.
So yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
Interesting. That's. I mean, just as a bike fitter, that's super counterintuitive because usually,
Less angle.
like what I was taught at like bike fitting school was
Yeah.
that usually that's from that particular location of knee pain is often from bending your knee too much.
Okay.
Which with longer cranks you'll bend it more.
Yeah.
But obviously if it fixed it, there's something
There's so many
we
variables.
don't know.
Saddle
Yeah, there's so many
positioning,
variables.
And why I went back is I was like just riding one of my demo bikes just to, when I didn't have a Firebird, and then I just rode my demo Firebird. And I was like, oh, this actually feels good, and then swapped because I was riding my Mach 6 then, and then I just like put 170s on my Mach 6 and got a Firebird, and it's like kind of felt better. So I was like, yeah,
Your knees needed to move more.
apparently, yeah, possibly, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, but no, I do want to try them again just to revisit it, and yeah, I'm always changing, trying.
Try 165 again, maybe you're thinking
yeah,
at
or
some
even,
point.
Yeah, even shorter, maybe. I don't know.
Even go shorter.
160.
You never know.
155.
Good. Yeah, not opposed. Yeah.
You've been experimenting with some shorter cranks, right, Auk?
I've been experimenting. How much do we want to talk? Yeah, been experimenting with some 155 cranks.
And that's the shortest you've ever had on your bike, right?
That's the shortest I've ever had on my bike. Yeah, on a e-bike, I've ridden on 160s, and I would envision myself riding that on a muscle bike.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it's just been a week, couple rides on 155s. Yeah, the first ride really feels like I was pedaling like my little like tricycle, But
Fast little circles.
Fast little circles. Think fast little circles. This morning I got out again, did some pedaling on them, and I don't know, when you're pedaling like that, you always just feel like I'm not going to make it up. I'm not going to make it up the hill, But just trusting that, it's different RPMs and different feel. But yeah, I think I'm going to get used to it. To me, the downhill positioning and ability to lean the bike and what have you, to me is really comforting on the short.
Yeah.
On the short
You're noticing that.
Yeah. I have a really short legs, and
that
so
is appeal. I mean, I want to give it a go.
right.
Again.
For handling reasons.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you say, like, first impression isn't always what you should go off of either. Like, you should probably give it a try for 5 rides or 6 rides or maybe longer than what I'm changing. But it's like, you should always.
And then you got to go
Immediate.
ABA too. You got to go back to the.
Yeah.
First, you have to really give it a good chance, and then you have to go back to the old thing, and then back to the new thing again.
Yeah. I mean, I do like the Darren Murphy push when he was like in one of his podcasts. What did he say? He says better, worse, same. Like, don't think about it too much. It's like better, worse, same, and then maybe go further if it's good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
He's so awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've listened to that quite a few times.
Which podcast was he on?
Is Vital Inside the Line.
Okay,
He
I'll
did,
check that out for
part,
sure.
Part one,
Yeah.
part two. Yeah,
I like that podcast, and I like Darren.
yeah, he's interesting. Yeah, he's a good one. Yeah.
He used to have his offices right here in Irvine
Oh,
when
really?
he started Push, and before that when he had Romic.
That's rad.
Yeah, and we were selling so many of those Romic shocks back like before
Oh,
Pivot
right.
even existed. Yeah, Darren, he's got so much energy. He's got a new product coming. I don't know if it's out yet. I think I've seen pictures on the internet.
Yeah,
That new fork.
Fork, yeah. Be
Did
interesting.
you check that thing out?
A little bit,
I
yeah.
kind of want one.
I'm intrigued.
I would.
I always
for
want to try.
Sure,
stuff, so
probably take the opportunity to spend $2,000.
if it's $2,000, I mean, who knows? Yeah.
It's inverted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I want an inverted mount. I think I want my mountain bike to have an inverted fork.
I mean, visually it's different looking, so it's like it's gonna take some time.
Yeah.
But yeah, why not? Like,
What bike would you put it on? That one?
I don't think I currently have the bike.
yeah.
Right.
A Firebird. Put it on a Firebird.
I mean, I feel like anything that Push puts out is it's good. Like it's well made.
For sure.
You know, you can't. It's hard to argue that. So
Those 11 6 shocks are so.
Yeah.
In addition to being insane performance, they're super durable and low
yeah,
maintenance.
yeah.
Have you ridden one much?
Yeah, I had one for a little bit, just to, got one to try it, ride it for a bit, go back and forth between an X2 and a Push, and I thought it was great. Yeah.
Do some people in Pivot like those?
I don't know if anyone's really running one now. There's like an Olin's train for a second, but I feel like that's gone. Maybe there's a few people.
Maybe because of like part support. Seems like those feel
I
good
think
when
during
they feel good.
COVID, definitely people were like, COVID, you can get Olin stuff. They're like, let's get Olin's. And,
Oh, I see.
But I always think like the suspension that's the better suspension is the ones that you can understand. Not so. If you can't set it up right, it doesn't mean anything. So,
Right.
but I think that's why the Push thing. I mean, they make a good shock, but I do think that's why it's like you can kind of buy it, bolt it on your bike, and it's gonna be pretty damn good like right away.
They do a good job of making the shock for the rider and bike, and
sure.
making the tuning window one that you can't make it too bad for that rider
Oh
and
yeah,
bike.
it's always gonna be pretty good. Yeah.
And I think in order to get that tuning window that dialed in and still be able to get good performance, you do have to have some customization for bike and rider.
Yep.
And I think that's why.
Yeah, they can definitely get you. I don't know. I'm just 90% there, 95% there. I'd say, maybe
Yeah.
all the way,
Right.
maybe more. Just throwing out a number.
Do you have like a RockShox Fox preference?
I haven't ridden RockShox in a while. Would like to try it just because I haven't. I've just been on Fox stuff. But
It's a pretty
I-
Fox heavy brand now that I think about it.
We are, yeah. I mean, it's all we have. But I generally do like Fox a lot. So,
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And yeah, no complaints really.
I think almost everyone likes Fox, and some people also really like RockShox.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I do think RockShox might be easier for a lot of people to set up better or like immediately. You can kind of get confused a little bit on grip 2s and an X2, like so.
they're not idiot proof, and you can tune
Yeah.
you can turn the knob far enough to make it feel bad.
Yeah. Yep. Just recommendation for everybody: don't deal with the damper until the air pressure's right. Like, I would say you probably can't have good suspension without good air pressure.
And that
no matter where
matches
the
like
damper's
the
at. Yeah.
every other thing I've ever heard. Just start
Yeah.
to start. The order of operations is spring
Sag.
rate.
Sag is important. It's very important.
Does that necessarily mean everyone should have a specific sag, or just that they should have the one that's right for them? Just before they start messing with other stuff.
I think on pivots they do like a specific sag point.
Is that like 29-30%?
Yeah. There's demo last year. Some kid was like doing laps in Telonics. He's like, oh, I like a stiffer. It's like, I like less sag. It's like, all right, dude. Like, what are you riding? Like, he said Mega Tower or whatever, and you can kind of like fudge that number a little bit on that bike, I think. And I was like, all right, because he told me he was going to shuttle Telonics, so it's like, all right, go do lap the way you want it, and then like if it sucks, let me know. And then like he came back, like thought it sucked. was like, so I said it the way I would set it, and then he came back was like stoked on the bike. So
Right.
I think that's why I would say like between brands, it's not all the same.
Right.
Same with Geo. Like
I do think pivot you can generally get away with running more than 30% sag.
You can,
I know
yeah.
that it's a great idea to run a lot less.
yeah, you can. I would say, depending. I think you got to dial it in a little bit, but yeah.
And I think part of what's going on there too is there's maybe a little more anti-squat going on, and so you don't need to overspring it as much.
Yeah. Agree. There's a few things. I mean, it's like, it's also like a you thing. Like, what do you like to feel? So.
Yeah. I mean, the Mega Tower does feel more kind of squishy and hammocky than a Firebird.
Oh,
and
sure.
so if you oversprung your Mega Tower because you didn't like, and I don't think that's necessarily bad or good, it's just different. But if you oversprung your Mega Tower because you didn't like that, you maybe wouldn't have to overspring your Firebird to get that.
You know, I haven't ridden in Santa Cruz in a long time. But I mean, everyone kind of feel like the consensus is still like they kind of naturally like to sit a little deeper.
Yep. And so again, I actually kind of I don't have a preference. I actually really like how the Santa Cruz kinematics feel and how the Pivot kinematics feel, and I see, but they are different.
Yeah,
like
for sure. Yeah, I always argue like some people talk Geo all the time. It's like if you had the same Geo on a Santa Cruz and the same Geo on a Pivot, it's gonna be drastically different feeling. So same with like, maybe not drastic, but like it's gonna feel different though.
I think the Pivots somewhat tend to ride a little higher at the travel.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So higher when it's on a G out, higher under acceleration.
Yeah.
Like
come ride South Mountain.
There are a lot of G outs and hard ledges.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
But it is impressive how bumpy racing it can be while still being that kind of firm under acceleration and controlled.
Yep.
That was the first time I ever rode a Pivot. It was at the Dirt Demo Day, the first day that it was the first time Pivots were presented to bike shops because it was at the trade show in Vegas at Interbike, and at that time suspension was less worked out. There were less good bikes, and there was more wrong with a lot of the suspension bikes, and there was a lot of kind of unwanted movement in a lot of the suspension, and then there was a lot of other bikes that in order to avoid that just kind of didn't move. And I remember getting on a Mach 5 and riding it out on the Mother Trail towards the end of the day and being like, this is the first time I've ever ridden a full suspension bike because I was still mostly riding hardtails at the time.
Yeah.
But selling full suspension bikes to our customers and riding them to try to understand them. And I was like, this is the first time I ever rode a full suspension bike that really seemed like it was doing something, but also didn't have any weird squatty interruptions of my behaviors.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, definitely the joke throughout demo is like it's always nice doing demos with other brands because every time someone comes over from riding XYZ brand, they come to us and like come back and like how everyone always says its pedals better. Like that's it's great for us.
Yeah, they do. The pedaling efficiency is really a high point for sure.
Oh,
and indisputable. Yep. What else you got, Auk?
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I noticed, you're talking about mental space, kind of getting back on the demo driver experience. Do you have any companions?
Got a dog. Got a dog. I feel like a lot of people know Carl.
Carl with a C.
Carl with a C. Yeah. He's a white English Bull Terrier.
Super cool dog.
He's rowdy. He's loud. Yeah.
But also very patient and reserved for a rowdy, loud dog.
No, he's good. He's just a Bull Terrier, so he gets rough, which is cool. So he's got some character.
Yeah. 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 But he's good enough to kind of hang out at a demo and just play
it's kind of funny.
Meet the public.
Like we always have like a table. Everybody like kind of comes in and checks in with like a cloth or whatever, and he's usually got like lately he's got like a corn stalk. Or corn cob that he's like playing with toy, and like he's like lays there with his cob, and people gotta like step over him to like sometimes, not always, but
at the most recent demo I was just tripping out. I was just watching him. He's looking at his corncob toy, and he was just like, "Who wants to try to take it
Right,
from me?"
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, please do.
He definitely keeps people entertained at the demos. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's true, but supposedly there's gonna be like a Carl shirt.
Oh yeah!
Oh my God.
Don't quote me. But, I think,
Sign me up.
Paz requested some photos, but I'll see if it happens.
He's a cool dog. Yeah, just the first time I ever met Carl, and he's kind of like nosing his corn, the corn cob, nosing it.
Smooth.
Jesse from the shop would pick it up, and he's gonna go to throw it, and Carl like starts trotting in the direction that he's like predictive throwing,
Yeah.
starts trotting. Yeah, it's a cool dog.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah. Honestly, like, I don't know how much I'd want to do this job without a dog or some. It's like
It's a long time by yourself.
It's nice. Yeah, it's nice to have a companion. So for sure.
Yeah. It's also nice to have a little bit of like an early warning system for people coming around too.
Yeah. No, for sure. Like, it forces you to get up and get out of the van. It's like when you don't want to, because sometimes
You have to go to the bathroom.
yeah, you got someone that relies on you, so you got to get up and do stuff. Yeah.
It's interesting. As a parent, I've often noticed that having someone relying on you kind of
Holds you
helps
accountable.
inspire you to take care of yourself enough.
Yeah,
Right.
holds you accountable a little bit. Yeah,
To your own well-being.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Right.
To put the oxygen mask on yourself first.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's
Definitely.
great.
Yeah.
So does he hang out on the front seat pretty much when you drive, or does he
Yeah,
cruise around the?
he's the easiest dog as far as like traveling goes. Honestly, in general, he's like super easy. Like, but yeah, he just like sits in the front seat. Yeah, it's just all the dog hair that just lives there forever. But
How old is he?
he's 7. Yeah.
Nice.
You wouldn't think he sheds much, but he sheds quite a bit. But like, it's just that it gets everywhere.
Yeah.
And it gets everywhere, but it doesn't come out. Like, so
It's embedded. It's woven in
forever. It's forever there. Yeah.
So how'd you come together? How'd this partnership come about?
Just wanted a bull terrier. Searching for some rescues and found someone's rehoming him at 14 weeks old, and
Wow.
went and got him. That's about it.
So you had him before you were a driver.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's 7 now. So sometime like October, like 16th, like 2016, something like
Wow.
that. Right? Is
How'd
math-
that
is math
conversation
right?
go when you were talking to him about like, hey, we're gonna be changing our lifestyle?
No, when I got him, I was like, because I was in Phoenix at the time, and yeah, I just kind of was like bouncing around, just traveling.
Already.
Yeah,
I see.
off and on. So a good chunk, anyways. Yeah, had an old Volkswagen Vanagon at the time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What
Oh
year?
my gosh.
Mine was a '91 Karat,
Nice.
and I did a Subaru tranny and motor swap. in
Oh,
it, and
yeah.
yeah, I did that.
I've seen those. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's rad. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, you sold it.
I did. Yeah.
Do you regret it?
Yes and no. Like,
Yeah.
I want another one, but I think it was time to move on. I mean, I'd love another one again, but I don't know if we'll see if I do it or not. So yeah, I already have like a money pit. Then we're trying to get my money. Yeah, so.
What's your money pit?
I got an old military ambulance.
Oh
So-
my gosh.
Where does that live?
It's at Eric's house in Phoenix, the
Nice.
demo coordinator guy. Yeah, yeah. So it's old. It's they're called Cuckvies. Cuckvie M1010 is a truck, but it's a square body Chevy is really what it is, and just the military versions, and
That's awesome. What
yeah.
motor's in that?
old 6.2 diesel. It's slow. It's great.
Yeah, I bet. Sounds awesome.
Honestly, they're easy to work on. They kind of get some flack, but you can extend the fender, pull the heads off, and it's
Wow.
super simple. So something about that is like appreciative. You can just throw some used motor oil in it, it runs. So
awesome.
you throw some vegetable oil in it, it's fine.
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
Yeah. To a degree. You gotta
Right.
But yeah, they're pretty basic. So simple, slow. 55 miles an hour. That's all you got.
Yeah, off speed. And it probably takes a couple miles to get to it.
For now. I mean, I got a tranny. I'm gonna swap into it and do a few things.
Nice.
But yeah, it's a never-ending project. So, but
That you get to do between November and December.
yeah, we'll see. It's been an issue lately.
Or not.
so. Yeah.
Cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you think our listeners need to know about their bikes or Pivot or the world?
Check your shock pressure more than once a year.
There you go. That's
All
really
right.
good advice. I second that. I see it all the time. People who haven't checked their shock pressure,
I have an engineering buddy who bought a bike. He's like, I check my pressure once at the beginning of the year, and that's it. And it's like, because to him, it's like a sealed air can, and it should never be an issue. And it's like, you're right. However, reality is not
Somehow.
that. Yeah.
Also, are you weighing yourself?
Yes. Yeah. It's very true. Yeah. Yeah. It's easy to check it before every ride, even once a week or whatever, but somewhat regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Or check your sag or something.
Yeah.
I say check your sag is a good one, because then if you change weights, you catch it too.
I mean, we make
both
it.
sides.
We already make. If you have a pivot, it already makes it easy because we have that little sag indicator.
Yep.
Slide the ring up, squat on it.
That is very helpful.
Super handy.
Yeah, it's like
I can't believe that you're the only ones that do that.
I honestly don't get it.
Are you the only ones that do that? Is that a pivot part?
It is a pivot part. But I want to say like Scott has like the little thing in the
They might have something
for like
that.
their because the shocks.
Well, there's lots of
internal.
different sag, like
Yeah,
a line
Score
on the
has one, I
link,
think.
or
Yeah.
there. I've seen different like link based sag indication.
Yeah. And obviously there's rock shocks with like the engravings.
And back when we were a
Gratching.
Specialized dealer, they had the thing where you over pump it and then push the release valve, and
Yeah.
it sags to the sag point.
Yeah, did that work though?
It was terrible.
Yeah, I mean it did go away. So
Yeah, it was terrible.
kind of went away for a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very nice.
All
Yeah.
right.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
thanks, Caleb. Thanks,
yeah.
Auk.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Caleb, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jake, and thanks to Pivot for being awesome too. Thanks to all of the stakeholders of the path and the riders, and let's all remember to love the bike we ride.